Good evening, everyone. I really appreciate you being here tonight on an off night. You could be doing a lot of other things, and we really appreciate you coming. I'm going to open up with prayer. By the way, my name is Lorna Batten, and I'm the chairman of the board this year for New Covenant, and we just want to welcome you here. Let's start with prayer. Lord Jesus, we just love you so much. We're so thankful for our school and all that you've done for us. We're thankful for the material blessings that you've given us, but most of all, we're thankful for these families that represent the school and our students, God. We just thank you for every opportunity you've given us. We just want to give you all the honor and glory and praise for everything that is said and done here tonight. In your name, amen. Okay, again, I want to thank you for being here, and the purpose of tonight is just to update you on what is going on in our school and give some feedback. Okay. Feedback for the family surveys that you have filled out, and just let you know that we want you to know everything that's going on as we possibly can, and just that we're all in this together and want to keep you informed. So we really appreciate you being here. I want to start off by introducing the members of the board that are here. If you guys would stand, and I think their names and pictures are up there, but this is who represents you on the New Covenant board. So get to know them. We also will be looking to fill some vacancies. This is my last year as chairman and being on the board, so we will have some openings. I think you should have received an email. So if you have someone you would not like to nominate, or want to nominate yourself, you can communicate with Kelly Sorcy, our board secretary, and she will take you through that process of what's involved. And we also do invite parents and people who are interested to always come to the board meetings each month. They're really exciting, you know. But you're always welcome to be a part of the open session of the board meetings. And we send out our agenda each month of what's going to be discussed. So remember that too. I also wanted to recognize our faculty and staff that are here tonight. If you are an employee of New Covenant Academy, would you please stand? We know this is the backbone of our school and what makes us who we are, and I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. And I want to say that this lovely facility, it's so good to be in here tonight, and all of these people were involved, not just the ones that were moving over to new classrooms. All of our faculty and staff were involved in getting us moved in here. They teamed up, buddied up with other teachers, and I just really appreciate all the hard work that all of you put in to get us into this new building, and things you do every single day. I really appreciate it. And I also want to mention that the parents and grandparents and friends that helped during the move, I really appreciate that. I worked here a few days, and there were so many grandparents here, and I just really appreciate their efforts and being here during the day. And then I know many, many parents and friends helped for the weekend move, and we appreciate that also. If you haven't had a chance to look around our new facility after our meeting tonight, you will be welcome to tour around and see the beautiful place that our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders get to come every day. And we're just so appreciative for God's faithfulness and blessing us with this new building. And I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Pruitt now, and you're going to hear from each one of the principals and then our administration, and they will update you on what's going on in their different areas. Thank you again.
Thank you. I'm Sharon Pruitt, the elementary principal, and I just want to give you some things that have been going on, some exciting things that have been going on in the elementary this year. One of the things that we've been working on for the last several years, is higher level thinking, critical thinking, because that has been identified by colleges and by businesses as something that is really needed in our students when they become a part of higher education and the workforce is that they need to be able to think. So we have changed textbooks. We've looked at our curriculum objectives. We've looked at our Aspire tests and things like that. And so we've implemented quite a bit of higher level thinking, critical thinking. One of those was very cute the other day. I was in one of the kindergarten classes, and part of that is what we call mental math, which is number manipulation in your head. And I could see it going on even in the kindergarten students already, and so that's really exciting because if they start it down there, it's going to be old hat by the time that they get up into the upper grades. So we've been working very hard to get those. It's a little bit different than probably what some of you have been taught. It's not the regurgitation of facts. It's taking those facts and now having them create a new thought from those facts. So it's a little bit different, kind of hard to get used to sometimes. Just give me some facts that I can tell my children to memorize and then, spit out for the test. That's kind of gone by the wayside. That's really not what we're looking for because that's not what they're going to need. So we've changed some textbooks, we've changed some objectives to reflect that. And so I feel like it's really going well. We're seeing some really good improvement in our Aspire testing. Another thing that I mentioned at the first of this year, if you were in one of the meetings, was a growth mindset. That was something new that we implemented in the whole school-wide, was that growth mindset. And, I may not be able to do something yet, but if I work hard, I can do it. So we're still working on that. It's kind of a new thing for a lot of the children and for a lot of the teachers and the rest of us. But we've really been working hard to get that in there too, to get that idea that don't give up. You may not be able to do it. And the kids have learned, maybe you may have heard the word yet. It's become quite the buzzword. We're thinking, we're going to be thinking in terms next year of how we can add a biblical application to that growth mindset idea, and some of the teachers have already been doing that, so that's been pretty exciting too. We want to make sure that we get that in there too. We're also kind of thinking in terms of what signage and things that we can put in our building now. We have this beautiful facility here. We don't want to forget about our campus too. So we're thinking of some ways to get some Bible verses, signage-wise. We're going to be working with Todd over here closely to get some of that taken care of. Maybe some growth mindset type quotes or things like that. But we want to plaster that everywhere. So everywhere they go, they see those Bible verses and we see that growth mindset concept. I'm so sorry. I want to give you a little idea of the curriculum review process. We've talked about this before, but it's good to just kind of remind everybody, and if you're new, to know how that happens. We have a schedule, and each year there's a certain subject and things that we have to do for that subject. This year we reviewed objectives and we bought some new curriculum for social studies in the last 2 years, and then this year was our year to evaluate that curriculum and see whether or not it's effective, if we need to make any changes. We have identified some tweaks that we need to make in some of the grade levels, so we'll be taking care of that the rest of this year and then into next year. And then this year we are also looking at the science curriculum and whether or not we want to make some changes in the textbooks for that next year. So we're in the process of doing that right now. The next year we'll take on, it's just a continual process. So every subject is reviewed in some way every 5 to 6 years. So it's a really good way to continually look at our objectives. Are we doing what we should be doing? Are we meeting the needs of our students? Are we giving them what they need when they get to the higher levels? With 5 through 8 leaving our campus, of course we were expecting that to happen back in August, and of course it didn't, but with the 5 through 8 leaving, it was kind of, got some kind of questions. Well, why would you put elementary with high school? Well, we're very excited about partnering with the high school. We've kind of done that a little bit in the past, but we really feel like now that there's just us there, we can really concentrate on that. And this year we were able to put in Kimberly Petrie was able to put in A-plus students, and Mr. Tuck, I believe, will talk more about the A-plus program. But a part of that program is that the children have to, or the students have to be a part of mentoring, have to do some mentoring. And so she's been able to put A-plus students into the elementary classrooms, and it's been really cool. They've been an extra pair of hands, they've been some extra help for struggling students. They've just been really a good addition to our elementary classrooms. And there's other things that we want to explore as we go along. We did not do the buddy program this year because of the whole chaos that was going on. I don't know a better word. But so we kind of put that on hold. But we are looking to get that back up and running next year for the elementary and the high school anyway. And I'm sure we'll be looking at ways to do that in the other grades too. But for elementary and high school, we'll be looking at putting that buddy program back into place so that every elementary child will have a big buddy that they can look up to. And I think it's great not only for our kids love it when they have their big buddies, but it's also very good, I think, for the high school students because our kids are watching all the time, and it behooves them to be good examples to the little ones. So I think it's a benefit both ways. So we're kind of excited about that. And I think, check my notes. One of the other things I wanted to add about giving resources for kids, not only do we have the A-plus program and we're going to have the buddy program back up and running, but we've had several grandparent volunteers that are retired teachers that have come in and have been working with some of our students that struggle, and that's been such a blessing to have those volunteers. They know what they're doing because they've been doing it for years, and so being able to pull them out and giving some of those kids that extra resource has been awesome. So we want to continue that and be able to bolster the resources that we have for our kids that struggle a little bit. So that's been really good too. I think that's all for me. I believe it's Mr. Hour's turn next.
Well, my name is Michael Hour. I'm the grades 5 through 8 principal in this wonderful building. We're just very excited now to be in. We've lived in it for several weeks, so we're finally getting the bugs out. We've got some routines down. We're still trying to figure out intermediate pickup in the afternoon. That seems to go for about 45 minutes sometimes, trying to get everybody going, but we are working on it. We're looking at some solutions to make that a little more streamlined. It just went so much better over at Cox campus, and it's the same principle here, but for some reason it's just not working as well as we wanted to try to get the kids picked up as quick as possible. A lot of the things that we're doing or have done at the grades 5 through 8 building always align to our mission: academic excellence, biblical truth, and Christ-like characters. We always try to align some of those things that we're doing. Our teachers do work very, very well and very, very often with each other, either collaborative, intermediate, junior high, or as a 5-12 collaborative subject team, looking a lot at our ACT Aspire data for those subjects that teach the ACT Aspire. So a lot of the times, like on last Friday, when we had our PD day, sometimes we get questions from parents, what do you all do on those days? What are some things that we do? We really look at that data. The intermediate, or actually grades 3 through 6, just finished up their interim tests that they took during the week prior. So Mr. White went over those results with them, and we compared them to what the results were earlier in the year to see if there's any instructional adjustments or things that need to be made going forward. We've created SMART goals, so our teachers will look at those as well too. Are we on track to increase the percentage of students that are scoring at a specific level on those tests? So those are some of the things that we do during that time. Specifically with grades 5 through 8, part of the time their teachers are doing is something that I've kind of generally coined as unity of practice. We did a devotional, I led a devotional for our staff last week over Ephesians 4, talking about one body, one spirit, one baptism, and how that brings unity to the body of Christ. So we're talking about bringing unity with some of our teaching practices. So part of our collaboration time last Friday, and we'll continue these conversations going forward, deals with unity of practices. Are we unified in what we do in the junior high? Are we unified with what we do in the intermediate in terms of our homework policies, in terms of our grading practices, in terms of tardies, just some logistical things? Because as we look at our staff, our intermediate teachers have been together primarily for a while, and their unity of what they do has been pretty good. Our junior high, we've added so many new teachers that we needed to get together to make sure that our students were being provided that consistent environment. So we had some great conversations last Friday, and we are going to continue those conversations going forward as well. Biblical truth, this is just an awesome area for chapel. Dr. Duran, who is our junior high Bible instructor, he's also our worship team leader. That is their equipment over there. They have this place rocking in the morning. They just do a wonderful job with some of their practices. Mrs. Bex does a great job with the intermediate chapel as well. Because we have such a large space, we will do grades 5 through 8 chapel together once a quarter. We had our first one as a celebration chapel, our first day of school, January 22nd, and we'll have our next one on Easter, then we'll have one at Christmas, and then we'll have one first quarter and fourth quarter. Well, all of our grades 5 through 8 students will be coming in here and we worship the Lord together. It's just a very exciting opportunity. We were never able to do that before, but now we have the space to be able to do that. We've also had the first year of some biblical leadership curriculum that we implemented at the junior high level, and we had a little dabbling of that at the intermediate level as well too. Part of their enrichment time was some biblical leadership or some Christian leadership. That's one of the things that we're really focusing on, grades 7 through 12, is some biblical leadership. The word you guys might have heard from some of your students is called habitudes. Like, what in the world is a habitude? But it's a specific leadership quality, leadership trait that our students are really exploring within their classes, grades 7 through 12. So we're really excited to see where that goes. And even our intermediate students are being introduced to some Christian leadership at the 5th and 6th grade level. So we're very excited to be able to do that. Biblical truth, we're also exploring for some of our staff some biblical integration practices, because part of what we do is we take the Bible. We want to teach our subject, whatever that is, math, science, social studies, band, choir, whatever, but we also want to make sure that we're teaching the Bible along with that. So what are the best practices to be able to do that? So again, those are some conversations that we have, is how can we teach math through the Bible? Well, how can we teach that Christian worldview, that growth mindset, as Mrs. Pruitt had mentioned, even biblical, even in a biblical way? So there's lots of conversations that we have about that. For Christ-like character, you guys have probably seen, there's an example of some signage that we've created, that our teachers have created, different location expectations. That's part of our student social behavior curriculum. We have one for the auditorium, we have one for dismissal, we have one for hallways, for restrooms, for cafeterias and such. And these are expectations that that our teachers created, but we added the biblical integration piece, because you'll see they all are referenced, have a scripture reference to them. So our teachers reference them when they teach certain things, because our students were coming in to a brand new building. Even after a week, we still have some of them, Mr. Howard, where's this room? Where's this room? So our teachers have done a very good job of getting them from point A to point B, and they continue with their social behavior. So we'd like to see that continue at the high school. We also
I got from December 31st to January 6th, we had the opportunity to go down to El Salvador and serve for a week. We went and built a small duplex home for a couple of families, got to bless them with just a little bit of a gift there. And we also had the opportunity to minister to different orphanages. We visited 4 orphanages and had the opportunity to just share the love of Christ with them. So one little story that I wanted to share with you tonight and how that's impacted my life is the story of Alex. So while we were down in El Salvador, the 3rd day we were down there, we went to a small boys orphanage called Cisna. And while we were there, we just got to hang out with all the little kids, and we played basketball, we played soccer, just had a blast with them. But one of the coolest stories was the story of Alex. And he's this little boy. He was 12 or 13 years old, and one of our students, Elena, she was feeling sick, so she went and sat down. Alex sat next to her, and they just got to talking, and slowly the group became bigger, and I got to join in a little bit on the conversation. And we saw Alex, and he was just asking questions about who's Jesus, and what's the Bible. He knew a little bit, but not a lot. So we had the opportunity. Mrs. Brockmeyer brought along a Spanish Bible that we were able to give him and just share with him the precious love of Jesus Christ. And that was just an incredible takeaway, to be able to go down to El Salvador and see how easy it is to share the gospel, and really coming back, seeing how we should just be able to do that here. And so the mission trip down to El Salvador was certainly impactful on all of our students, and it was just a blast. So thank you, Mr. Tuck, for allowing me to share just a little bit about what's been happening in New Covenant. It's been incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. You can certainly understand why they didn't want me to keep speaking. Here, he is amazing. And, I tell you, every time I see that video and hear one of our kids talk about the mission trip, it's hard to keep my emotions in check. It was an amazing trip, and I'm so proud of our kids. And one last thing I want to mention is, Ryan talked about our worship time and our spiritual growth that we've experienced this year. And a big part of that has been our worship team. And kudos to Eli Brown and Ted Fraser and the kids that have been so involved in worship, because they have brought our hearts right to the foot of Christ and seriously ready to hear His word proclaimed. It has been an amazing year, and they deserve a hand for sure.
Hi, my name is Matt Searson. I'm the Chief Academic Officer. And, following that is probably really good, because everything that you heard, especially from Ryan, kind of takes us back to why you all are at New Covenant, or I'm assuming is why you're at New Covenant, because that's the important thing. Why are you investing so much and sacrificing for your students to be here? And that's because I'm assuming that's what we want to see. That is the end result, that we have kids that are going to go on and serve and being on mission. And I like that term, on mission. We have a mission statement, and I love our mission statement. But when you talk about being on mission, I like that better, because it seems active. It's something that we should be doing all the time. And so this is kind of a manifestation of that. And as we talk about kingdom education, that's going to drive everything that we do. Our academics, athletics, because excellence done the right way is going to point people to Him, because that's where the glory goes. And so when we excel, no matter if it's FBLA or in choir, band, and sports, what we're teaching our kids is, hey, that's awesome. We want to do our best, but we want to direct attention there. And that's why you're here, and that's why you're partnering with us when we want to help students develop a relationship with Jesus Christ. That is your primary responsibility, but we are here to partner with you. And so that is at the forefront. We want to build kids up in Christ and equip them. And I think when you see students like Ryan and countless others that we could have brought in here, that's what we want to be able to see. Kids that that aren't perfect, but that are developing a relationship with Jesus Christ, and we want to equip them to go out and serve and to lead. And so we're doing that spiritually, we're doing that academically. So I thought of being on mission. And really, there are a lot of things that I could talk about. And I told Marlis, because usually I'm the one that talks the most, and so I told them by a quarter till, you come walking up here. Whether I'm done or not, just come walking, okay? So, but a couple of things that I want on that next slide. If we can go ahead and click forward. We want to be about excellence, and so how do we do that? How do we continually improve? You know, it's interesting that a growth mindset, yes, Carol Dweck, a research psychologist, has done all this research on growth mindset, but when you go to the Word, it's about growth. So it's nothing new, but it's something that fits really well with what we're doing. And so we want to become better. So how do we do that? Some of those things are up there. We get surveys, we get feedback from our students. We get performance data back. What can we do? Whether it's adjustments in our curriculum, feedback from you. And some of the things that we've learned in watching Ryan validates what you and your feedback to us, especially in the open-ended comments of the Family Satisfaction Survey. 90-something% of the open comments, where you just got to say, here's what I like best about New Covenant, had to do with developing relationships with Christian teachers, the atmosphere, the academics, but that was the most important thing, and that was in the feedback. And so we want to continue to be excellent. When we retain our students at a higher rate like we do, that's not because of the facility. That's because relationships by the people, a lot of them are kind of in the back there, but students develop those relationships. They're pouring into your student. Having 2 students that went through New Covenant, I wouldn't trade that for the world, and the impact that they had. And that is so important. So we get surveys back from our graduates. Did we prepare you for college? And we get positive feedback. Are there areas that we grow? Absolutely. We continue to focus. Technology is something that you can never get out in front of. As we work to at least get our kids where they're accessible to technology, we're getting more and more, we're getting closer to one-to-one, meaning every classroom, at any given moment, the students need access to technology, they can do that. So that's continuing, something we're focusing on. Communication is something that we see in the survey in terms of using RenWeb effectively and consistently. So those are things that we look at the survey data because we want to get better. I'll be honest with you, the last year has been challenging. The last probably 22 months has been probably some of the most challenging days as an administrator that I think I've ever experienced. And talking to Marlis, I think she would agree. But as we think about one purpose, I think that was kind of cool. And purpose, and Matt said something like that. That was the last thing that he said when he was talking to the students. We're on mission, and that's what got us through those times. This next picture, let me kind of, because I'm going to try to go quick. Okay, the picture on the left was April 1st, 2017, the day we closed on this campus. It was April Fool's Day, so we get the keys, we come over here and Mars, hey, let's take a selfie in front of the sign. So we did that. The picture on the right is June 5th, 2018. What's not in the shot is our roof on fire, right over here. And I look at those pictures and I see the innocence on the left, oh, it's going to be wonderful, and this is just going to be a dream and smooth sailing. And I see the picture on the right, and it's almost like incredulous, like, really? The building's on fire? I was just eating homemade ice cream like 10 minutes ago on my deck. And the challenges, with delays in construction, and challenges that were not our fault, that yet we were stepping into a position to make things work. And the people that made that happen, the facility committee, the board, the teachers that made adjustments to house all our students on one campus, we're going through that. It'd been easy to say, what in the world, why are we doing? We were on mission. We were on mission because, and when I look back, it's easy to have a pity party and feel sorry for yourself. But looking back, we would never done anything different in terms of the purchase of this facility and what God's going to do. But we have been so blessed for people to come alongside that were united in purpose for our mission. And guess what? Now that we're here, we'd like to be able to say, oh, let's take some time off and just sit back and just kind of enjoy this. But that's not what God's plan is. And so we're planning. Strategic planning is going on because while we are in here, this has created opportunities for our elementary and our high school in terms of a clear culture that we can develop and facilities that now we can focus on at the Cox campus as well to support what's going on over there. So we're excited about the things that are going on. I think Marlis and Glenda probably are going to allude to that a little bit. But I just want to just challenge you all to, I know sometimes we can get frustrated and maybe there are times like, well, I don't know why they do this and do that. Number one, I'd just let you know this. Always, always, always call us whenever you have a question or concern. The teacher, the administrator, because 99.9999% of the time, we can work through that. We just need to know. We get a lot of feedback, and as we're looking forward at the Cox campus and the things that we want to do over there, this is awesome here, but I'm excited about what we're going to get to do moving forward with our Cox campus, what our elementary can do. So that is very, very exciting. So the other thing that I was just going to kind of mention real quick before Marlis comes up here, our calendar was posted today for next year. And so there are actually some copies. Some of you might have gotten a copy of it as you were coming in. So I'm not going to bore you with details about how the calendar gets set, but I can tell you this. If you have a high school student, you'll recognize the idea of finals and the lengths of semesters and quarters that average into semesters. When you hit Christmas break, the semester ends. Now, back maybe when we were in high school, you got to the end of the semester, had Christmas break, and then maybe you came back for a couple more weeks and finished the semester. We don't do that. It's not really effective. You're trying to give finals to kids that have been gone for a couple weeks and expect them to come back. So once that semester ends, you've got to kind of back into that. And so our time of year for starting is about where everybody else starts. And so we'll have about 170 school days. So there's a requirement by the state. Obviously, we don't fall under that, but we also want to have credibility in terms of high school credit-bearing classes that our students are taking. So there's a minimum in the state of 1,044 hours. And so what we do is we look at our instructional minutes for the day, how that translates into hours, and then where we come out. And at the end of the year on a 170-day calendar, we come up probably about 7 to 8 days over that. Now, I never want to be at the minimum, but that gives us 3 to 4 days cushion. If we have to cancel school, we don't have to make that up. We started a day late when we were moving students in. We haven't had to make that up. We missed the other day. I think we're fine there as well. So the quarters need to average out. As it is, the first semester, the first 2 quarters are actually off a little bit. But if you start any later, it starts to skew. And you've got teachers trying to keep content balanced because you're averaging 2 quarters. So there's some academic considerations. So maybe those of you have younger children, maybe that's not something that you kind of realize. And so there's a lot of thought that goes into the calendar, but it is out there so you can start planning. Week at Thanksgiving, you still get it. That's never going to go away, I don't think. We did that one year and we knew that was never going away. So as Marlis is coming forward, I'm just going to kind of do this before I wrap up. All the challenges, I'm now looking at my notes to kind of look at, oh my goodness, there's so many things I could have said, but I'm going to be done. The challenges, a lot of the challenges that we ran into that even though we're still in the building and that part's moving forward, a lot of challenges that we're still wrapping up as part of this project. And a majority, 90-some% of that has fallen to Marla Schoenwetter, our Chief Financial Officer, to sort that out to make sure we're being responsible in the money that we're paying as we wrap up the project. And she has spent, I don't even want to know how many hours on her own and with the facility committee that has been so supportive, and that God has put individuals either on her board or on that committee that have just been a godsend to walk through that process with us and with Marlis. And so you'll never know the impact of what's going on behind the scenes that Marlis has had through all of this. And she was on medical leave and was supposed to be gone and probably coming back sooner than she's supposed to, but that's just because of who she is and how much she cares about the school. So is it quarter till? Oh, sorry. Go.
You know, one of the neat things about working here is the people that we get to work with. Matt gets to be one of those people, and I look around the room, and I just can't even tell you the joy that has come into my life, and the laughter. Sometimes maybe not nice laughter. We did a conference call today. I don't know what you call it, a hangout. But I'm telling you, the people over at the other campus were not behaving well, and I set a criteria. If it's necessary, kind, or true, don't say it. One of the things I will say is the business office doesn't have quite as much excitement and fun as some areas do, but the team of people that I have just been incredible. We have grown a lot without enough staff, and we switched to a new accounting system. We're not accounting receivables, which was fax management, and it has been, we're excited to announce that we were able to add on another staff member, Tina Crum, and she's helping us as we transition into re-enrollment this year as well, so she'll be the go-to person, and we're excited about that. One thing that I wasn't real excited about is we moved. We moved. That's an exciting thing. However, I have been in the same office with the same window facing the south, and even saw an elementary wing go up 20 years ago. I mean, the whole thing. And then it was about giving up my window. And if you know me at all, the sunshine makes me smile. Dreary days are not good. So I am delighted to say that I am enjoying my new home at the Liberty campus with the rest of my business team. And we are excited, and I've positioned my desk so that I can see a window. So all is well. But if anybody needs anything from a financial standpoint, we are over at this campus, and we're also going to be reached by email, phone, or whatever, but we will always try to help you through any situation there may be, and we are at re-enrollment time. So I just want to remind you of a couple things, and the first thing is to just talk about that most Missouri 529 savings plan for kindergarten through 12th grade. This year was the first year we had the opportunity to utilize it. We have a number of families who have done that. We have one payment plan that's split in two with a discount that works very well for that. But if you need a monthly payment plan, just be sure to give Tina a call at this campus, and she will be happy to help you through that and set that up. And also to remember, if you apply for tuition assistance, to have your file complete by March 1st, so that we will be able to analyze your account and see if we are able to assist you in that way. And then any questions that you may have, just again, be sure to give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you. One other thing I want to mention is we have an annual audit every year, and this year we were privileged to have a new firm. I don't know if you know what that means. That means a lot more work. So we had a new firm this year, Robinson and Elliott, and they did a fantastic job. They come to one of our monthly board meetings, usually in October, which was a little later this year, but they came and presented the audit to the board of directors, always in an open session, and the board was able to review that audit. And that is also something that's available to any of our families. If you just come in and ask me, and I'll be happy to share that information with you. One of the other things I want to talk about is the budget. And the budget for this school year is approximately $4.45 million. And of that budget, 99% of our budget is tuition and fees. And fees can include just a variety of things, but really the budget is run by our students, by our tuition dollars. That is an absolute. Our